important meeting today. Let's go ahead and start with our mission statement. To provide a mutually supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So as you know, as you saw by all of the emails that I've been sending you guys for a few weeks now, we're introducing Pathways this afternoon, and we do have our ambassador here. And I'm going to invite up our Toastmaster for the day, who is going to introduce our ambassador. So, Luis.
Hello, members and guests. Hi. Pathways will be the greatest change to the Toastmasters educational program since the introduction of the basic training manual in the 1940s. Toastmasters founder Dr. Ralph Smedley knew the world needed strong communicators and effective leaders. And he was convinced that people could best reach their full potential through carefully planned learning activities conducted in an enjoyable and helpful fellowship. As our lives get busier and our time more limited, we need to customize our learning experience to get to what we need quicker, while maintaining the helpful fellowship of our meeting formats. Pathways will give us more control and more access to learning than ever before, and it will be here in just a few short weeks. To help with our transition to Pathways, Toastmasters has assigned each club 2 SMEs, or subject matter experts. So please welcome here Jeff Gorst, who is going to talk to us about Pathways.
Welcome to this afternoon's Toastmasters meeting. Trish Blackwelder is the ambassador for my team. I am the guide for Pathways. Together we will support you as a club to educate you and inform you of what Pathways is and how they're changing our educational program. Trish would normally be here. I'm not sure where she's at. I haven't gotten a text or anything from her. So I'm going to try to cover what she would normally cover in the beginning, and that is to tell you that we are excited about the new Pathways educational program. It is going to change the way you are learning, but you're going to still learn the same core competencies that you are learning today. A couple questions that we normally get from clubs is, where is this new program going to be? And they've changed it to where it's all in an online environment now. The manuals that you know today will be replaced with a new educational program. And they've kind of merged the communication and leadership tracks together to give you a more rounded experience in what you're trying to learn and accomplish. The other thing is, since it's an online environment, you will access it through Toastmasters International. So you'll want to make sure that the email address that you have registered with your online account with Toastmasters International is your current email address. But make sure it's one that you check regularly, because all your notifications and stuff from Pathways Education will use that email address. I know some people put different email addresses in different online and subscription type places, so make sure that it is your email that you check regularly, because that's where notifications and such will be coming to. But as I said, we are excited to introduce the new Pathways program to you. Hopefully we will cover all of your questions today. We will have a Q&A at the very end of the presentation to answer questions. And we'll be here until, I think, 2:55 today. But Trish and I will support you for the next 6 months to help you in this new experience, to make it the most exciting and favorable experience. We don't want people to be complicated. We don't want it to be complicated and have members get frustrated with the change that we're going through. And we know that it's going to be new for everybody. It's not like you have some people that are experienced and can help other members. So we are going to be around for 6 months to continue to support you in this new online learning experience. So I will get started on the presentation on explaining a little bit more of what they're doing to the program to revitalize it. And as of today, you Some of you know that we started out with an old manual. And then we transitioned from this old manual into what we have today, which is what we consider competent communicator or communication manuals, and then there's a completely separate track for leadership manuals. And in 2010, the board of directors for Toastmasters International had a meeting, and they told world headquarters that we need to change our program. It's getting out of date, and we need to get it up to speed to the current online environment and so forth to make it more interesting, more fun for our members, and give them more educational experiences. So these are the values or the core goals that they gave world headquarters. And they wanted to make sure that what you were going to get out of Toastmasters was high value to you, something that you could use in day-to-day life, whether it be at home, at work, in volunteer organizations or professional careers, something that was useful to you, something that would meet your goals that you were looking to get out of Toastmasters. And of course, it had to be fun. We all know that a fun environment makes learning more enjoyable, and it makes you more readily to accept the learning and be able to apply it. It has to be customizable and flexible. To make it customizable, they give us more options, so you have more choices. And it's customizable to the point where, or flexible to the point where you can still choose, I want an online environment, or you can, if you choose to, still do printed materials, because we realize that we're going to have people that prefer one or the other. And it's competency-based. Today we're competency-based, and they wanted to keep that consistent within the new program. And resource-rich. We know in an online environment, you can add so many more resources than what you can in a printed environment. So they wanted to make sure that that was something that they really focused on and included in the new environment. And meaningful and effective evaluations. When I joined Toastmasters, I wanted evaluations to be meaningful for the speech that I was giving. So they focused on changing the way the evaluation forms look, and I will cover that in a little bit. So what they said was, well, let's do that. Let's make it so that this is an experience that you can customize to yourself. So you can pick and choose, and you can also work at your own pace. Just like today, you have a manual. You can choose how fast you want to go through that manual. That still remains the same. It's an online environment. You work at your own pace. And it is flexible. They were able to meet that requirement where you can choose the online environment or you're able to choose printed materials. And they gave you that greater access to those resources. They created a document library where you can go in and search for materials. It includes videos, PDF documents, your training manuals, your speech objectives. It's all in the online environment. And they made it more real life applicable. They changed the projects, they added more competencies, sub-competencies to try to make it to where you're able to apply those skills that you're learning to your everyday life. So these are the 5 core competencies that we have today, and those have not changed. The first 4, if you look at your manuals and you've been in Toastmasters for a while, you realize that the first 4 are the ones that you can be taught. You can learn those from the manuals. The 5th one is one that you're just going to get with experience. You're going to gain that confidence. You're going to become more confident in your speaking, more confident in your leadership skills, and that one you learn on your own. But the first 4 are still there. They remain, and they're going to keep those as your core competencies. In our current program, then, they have sub-competencies inside of those 4. And we currently have 68 of those in our current program. What they did in the new one is they have over 300 sub-competencies. So they've really enriched the learning capabilities and the skills that you're going to learn in this new program. Now here's the biggest change for the program that you are used to today. They have 10 paths. Now these paths are not specific to leadership or communication. They've kind of intermixed those into a path. So you can see on the diagram up here, where let's take dynamic leadership as a path, you can see that 1, 2, 3, and 5. Those are the skills over here on this side that you're going to learn by picking that path. If you choose just Presentation mastery, there you're focusing on skills 1 and 5, so it's going to be public speaking and confidence. So they've customized the paths based on what your goals and objectives are, and you'll pick a path, and then that's what you will focus on, and those are the skills that you're going to learn from that path. So a little bit different. It's not going to be, strictly communication or leadership or where you're working from different manuals. It's going to be one path, and you're going to learn the communication and leadership skills required in that path to learn what your goals are for that particular path that you've chosen. Now within each path, there are what we call 5 levels. And these would be similar to what you know today as a CC, CL, ACB, ACL, those types of levels that you achieve as you work through manuals. Now they're going to be level 1 through level 5. And you can see here, when you started out as CC, you did an icebreaker. So you can see level 1, you still start with an icebreaker speech. Because you have to know within that particular path, what are the skills that you're starting with? And that's still the same. You got to know your starting point. So when you're working through that path, you can have a goal on where you're going to want to end up when you get through that path. And then you can see also, we get over into these other levels, you're still going to serve functionary roles within your meeting. You still have to serve officer roles in your club. You have to participate in the district for leadership if you choose a path where you're working on leadership skills. So those requirements are the same. They've just kind of restructured it and reorganized it into what they call paths now. Within those paths, we have 59 projects that they've developed. And this is similar to your manuals. So when you go in and you pick a path, one of the first things they're going to ask you is, do you want printed materials or online materials? And the key point of that is, if you look over here on the right, everything is available in English. And everything will be available in English and the other 8 languages if you're in the online environment. If you choose printed materials, of course they haven't gotten everything developed and designed yet. You'll have limited options in printed materials as far as what languages are available to you. So we just encourage everybody that go with the online environment. The online environment is going to give you everything. That's their main focus. That's where they're making everything available in the beginning. A couple things that they're adding and working on is down here for the special needs people where the sight impaired or hearing impaired. They haven't developed that part of the program, but they say phase 2, we're assuming that's once this is rolled out to all districts and regions, then they'll come back and implement those features later. Since it's an online environment, how many of you have been in other systems in an online where you get awards and badges and things like that? Like Facebook is one, or some of these social media apps where you can do the interactive communication between members. This is the same way. You will be able to earn levels as you go through your projects, and the levels are up here 1 through 5. And those are, as you go through and earn those different levels, you're going to get an award assigned to you. And those are the same thing you get today, like your CC and CL, and you get a certificate. You'll be able to go in and print those certificates from your online environment. You'll be able to get those right away. And some clubs are choosing to say, well, we'll let the VPE print those so that you can present them to the member immediately, like at the next meeting, to give that immediate recognition. You don't have to wait for Toastmasters International to mail them to you. We also have badges, and these are some of the examples of badges. So if you recognize that a member is really improving on their speech, you've significantly improved, you'll be able to go in and say, I want to give this member a badge that says, hey, I've noticed you've really improved recently, I just want to recognize it, and they can get a badge for that. And they have different badges for different things within the system. So I think they've done a really good job on giving the immediate recognition, and also members being able to reward other members in the online environment. So based on what we've covered with PAS and stuff, who's excited with what they've done with the new program? It's really high level, but are you excited with what they've done so far? All right. The other thing we talked about was evaluations. For me, when I started Toastmasters, evaluations was an important part. I wanted feedback and I wanted to have valuable feedback. And some of the clubs that I was in, they used a generic form and I didn't feel like I was getting specific feedback for my speech. So what they've done here is they said, we're going to take a look at the evaluation forms and try to make it specific to the speaker and give them valuable feedback that they can use based on the speech and the objectives that they're working towards. So here's just an example of one of the forms, and you'll see on the beginning it's very similar. It's the generic information. It's telling you the purpose that they're working on, what their objectives are, and a comments section down here on the bottom, so you can just do some general comments back to the speaker. The next page is the one that I'm really excited about. It's a scoring system for the objectives specific to the speaker. And I have some of these forms right now in the advanced manuals that I've seen where I get feedback from members and they rate you differently because they don't know what the numbers represent. Even though in their mind they say, well, to me they did a 5, but somebody else says, well, I think they could have done better, I'm going to give them a 4. There is no real rhyme or reason to what the numbers mean. So even though it's objective specific, what Toastmasters International added was on the back is a description of what those numbers mean for each of the objectives. So it helps the evaluator give the appropriate scoring and feedback to the speaker. Now, if you're the evaluator who's going to do oral feedback for the speaker, you wouldn't reference the numbers in your evaluation that you give in front of the club. This is for the speaker to receive in the written format. But you would still use your oral evaluation and talk about this is what they've done good in their speech, this is where the speaker can improve, and a summary. And you wouldn't reference the numbering portion in your evaluation because it won't mean anything to anybody else in the club, but it's specific to the speaker to receive feedback. How many people in here are mentors today? So we have a few who are club mentors. Toastmasters International realizes they didn't have an official mentoring program. And for me at work, when I moved up into leadership, there was a specific mentoring program that they put us through because you want to help your employees grow their skills, improve their skills, and there's mentoring and there's coaching. So when Toastmasters came out with this and I saw it, I was really excited about this because I'm like, now all our mentors within Toastmasters will have the skills and the knowledge to know how to mentor new members in the club. We realize that it's going to take a while for the mentors today to get through the mentorship program. So we still encourage you to continue mentoring, but you should be one of the first people who worked within Toastmasters to learn the system, go through this mentoring program so that you're able to mentor new members successfully in the Pathways system. Once you complete the membership program, then you'll get this award that recognizes you as a mentor, and then in the system it will know you're a mentor and you'll be able to assign new members to you to mentor them. And up here I had added this program, there's no charge to it, so as soon as you start your first path and you get to a certain level, you'll automatically be able to go in and just sign up for this, and it won't be a charge to you to be a member of the mentoring program of your club. Anybody have like good feedback? Are you excited about the mentoring program and the evaluations?
It's not for the awards. We like bling. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yep.
Are we still going to get the little bling for awards, or is it just going to be an online badge?
I tried to search for that. I couldn't find anything. Have you found
Yes.
anything on?
The last
in-
answer that I've seen is they understand how important bling is to the membership, and they're taking that under advisement.
Okay.
So we haven't gotten a firm decision one way or the other whether they'll continue to do pins. Pins is what is the most common thing to get
Right.
at. So it gets asked for.
CCCL, but now for the badges. You know.
Right. In the system, you'll be recognized. You'll get the indicator after your name, just like you get your educational awards
Yep.
tagged. So if you're an advanced communicator bronze and you have ACB after your name, you'll have proficiency levels after your name now, depending on which path you're on. The question is, will you have to get through all the paths to get a pin? Will you get a pin in each path? That's what we don't have an answer on yet.
Okay. Thank you.
I think they've realized they'll have enough work if they don't do something.
Maybe it will connect to your Facebook and it will show up too.
Okay. So when Toastmasters International says we're ready as a district to start working in pathways, because there are requirements that they put on us as a district, we have to be to a certain point in rolling this out to the clubs, educating clubs and members before they'll actually turn it on. And when they're ready, which right now we're being told the beginning of December, they will send you an email, and that's why I mentioned earlier you want to make sure your email address is accurate and up to date in Toastmasters International, because that's where this email notification is going to be sent. In here there will be a link at the top for you to click on, and that's going to take you into Toastmasters International. And when you get here, you'll see this screen. The first thing that you have to do is log in up here, and that's where you use your email address and your password. And Trish will cover that a little bit later. There will be a handout too to walk you through those steps. But once you get to the screen and you log in, you'll see there's 3 choices down on the bottom there. One is a navigator, which I'll cover, assessment, and then actually logging into the new system called Basecamp. So what is the navigator? The navigator is a tool for new members, but also for existing members, because it explains your club environment. It's going to let a new member know what are all the officer rules, what are all the functionary rules, how is a meeting structured and functions, what does table topics mean. It explains all that to a new member, but it also has some navigational guidelines and tips and tricks for the new Basecamp system. Because it's a new environment, I encourage everybody to read through this document. It is in the kit, which I will cover a little bit later. The other thing then is an assessment. And for the assessment, I had mentioned you have to first choose what type of an environment or experience do you want. Is it going to be the new online environment, or will it be printed materials? The online environment is $20 per path, and as a new member or as an existing member, you get 1 path free. So you don't pay the $20 if you're an existing member. New members, at $20 that you pay as a new member, instead of going towards manuals, you'll get your first path assigned. Or not assigned, the $20 goes towards your first path that you choose. And the reason you have to pick that, as I had mentioned, if you pick printed, then you're limited on which manuals or paths you're going to be able to get because of the languages and so forth. So once you've picked which one you want, now the assessment knows here are the things that are available to you, and it's going to ask you questions because it's going to try and help you determine which of those 10 paths is going to help you accomplish the goals that you have in mind. So it's going to ask you some general questions. You have to pick your language so it knows what language you have. And then you're going to say, these are some of the goals that I'm interested in meeting. These are what I'm interested in working towards. And when you select those, then it's going to come up with a series of questions to further define what specifically are you trying to accomplish. And when you finish the assessment, which only takes a few minutes, it's going to come up and recommend 3 paths of the 10 that meet those goals and objectives that you're trying to accomplish. And you can look at the descriptions, read through it, decide which path you want to choose. And if you're still uncertain of which path you want to choose and you want to look at the other paths, you can click on the additional paths button down here on the bottom, and it will come back then and show you the other 7 paths that are available. And you can research those, read them, and ultimately make a decision on which path you want. They're just using the assessment in the beginning to say these are the 3 paths that we feel will help you meet the objectives that you put in the assessment. So once you've gone through the navigator and you're comfortable with how the system's going to function, you've now determined which path you're going to be starting out with. you're going to log into Basecamp. So the first thing you pick is your club, because we do have members who are in multiple clubs, which I'm in 2 clubs. So I would say, which club do I want to log into? Because it's only going to show you, like today, the members that are in that club when you're in Basecamp. So when you're working with your evaluations or feedback or any of the functions within your Basecamp, you'll be working with the members in that club. And if you want to change, you would log out, pick your other club, log back in, and you'll see the members for that club. One of the questions we get is, if I start a path, is it specific to a club? It's not. It's just if you're going to be giving a speech in a club, make sure you log in as that club so that you're able to do your evaluations, feedback, and everything with that club for that particular speech. It's also important to know that what happens in your members meeting, your Toastmasters Club meeting today is not changing at all. You're still going to be giving speeches, doing evaluations, having all the same functionary roles. It's going to be exactly the same. You can see over on the right side, though, some of the things that they've enhanced in the club environment. You're going to be getting more competencies, as I had mentioned earlier. Down here, they show you 300 more competencies. You've got 10 learning paths versus the manuals that we're restricted to today. And they're constantly adding more paths. They've already started developing some that they're going to roll out later. So we know it's only going to keep increasing because it's in an online environment. It's much easier to make changes and enhance it. And then we've got these extra things where it's got the plus plus where it's going to be improved from what we have today. How many people here know what DCP goals are? So DCP goals is how Toastmasters International rates the performance of the club and how they're helping their members advance and build on their goals that they're trying to accomplish with Toastmasters International. And one section in there is on education. So today, most of you will recognize that these are the 6 that we have today. It's based on your levels that currently exist. Since we're going to have 2 programs running for a while, we'll have the new pathway starting in December. We will also have the current program running through 2020. We will get a definite date later on, but we know we'll go through 2020. So how do you measure DCP goals when you have members in both programs? So they've listed both on here, and you get to pick 6 out of the 12. So you can have somebody over here doing level 1s, and you can have somebody over here doing CCs here. And my understanding is that you got to go across. You got to pick 1 here or 1 here. 1 here, 1 here. So you can pick all 6, or combination of 1 on the either side. That's 6 of the 12 to meet your DCP goals for education. I brought with me a kit today, and there's a handout in there that we'll be distributing to the members who are here today. In there is a printed navigator, which there's also a flash drive in there which has the navigator on PDF, so you can go ahead and share that PDF document with the members so that they can review it and read it if they choose to. The handout that you're getting today is this one here. This is the front, this is the back side. Trish will cover some of the steps on the back of that document, but hang on to that and make sure you are able to complete those steps on the back, and a welcome letter to new pathways. The thing that I'm excited about in the kit is you've got 3 of these pins, and the club can decide how they want to distribute those pins.
Bling.
There's some bling for you.
All right.
Some clubs are thinking about it, and some of the options are is who are the first 3 people who sign up for a path, or first 3 people who complete level 1, or first 3 that do an icebreaker. So it's up to you as members to decide what do you want to do with those 3 pins, and it's the same pin that I have on today. And it'll be a reward to get people excited about the program, get in there, log in, and it's a challenge for some people to get that pin and hang it on their badge holder. A couple helpful tips, since this is an online environment and we all know how your computers can get compromised and stuff, so Internet Explorer or Safari or Google Chrome, whatever browser you use, there are settings on there that restrict certain things. Being it's an online environment and it's PDF driven, video driven, there's things that have to pop up, things that have to open. So this check compatibility button up here at the top is going to walk you through what are some of those settings that you should change or modify to make Toastmasters International's Pathways program work best on your laptop or computer. The other thing is the Navigator Basecamp. It's in your packet, but it's also online, so you can always easily go back and view it. And then the check compatibility that I already mentioned. Support for the club. Trish and I are going to be your Pathways guide and ambassador for 6 months. That was our commitment to Toastmasters International when we signed up for this role. So today is our first initiation to you guys introducing the Pathways program. But for the next 6 months, we will support you. We will help you with any questions you have in the online environment. We'll answer any questions you have about the program. I will hold online conference calls and WebEx sessions, so during the first 6 months, I'll send out meeting invites and you can jump on those calls, ask questions, we'll get into the system, demo stuff for you. It's a way for us to help you immediately, but you can always call us or email us, whatever you're most comfortable with, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Sometimes we don't know the answers, we haven't gotten the information, or we have to go search and get it, but we will get you an answer for all of your questions. Even if it's, well, I don't know right now, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. So right now, if you have any questions on Pathways program, Trish and I will try to answer them for you. We have, I think, 15 minutes for Q&A, and then Trish will do a wrap up for the remaining 5 minutes. So, yes.
I have a question on VPE. How is the VPE going to track this? Is it going to be an online tracking?
Yep. So the VPE is going to be what they call Basecamp Manager.
That's a vice president of education.
Yep.
Yeah.
So VPE today gets your manuals. They're signing off saying you've completed projects. They go into Toastmasters International and submit it. Now it'll all be online. So a speaker completes a speech, they will go in and say, I've completed this. An email notification will go out to your VPE, and they'll go in and acknowledge that they've completed that particular speech or whatever we're working on. When they've completed certain levels and passed, they will still go into Toastmasters International and record it in their system. So VPE still plays an important role in getting the awards recognized and signed off for the members. Yes?
How does that work with Toast Host? Because currently we use that in order to set our agenda. So will Toast Host be updated? I know I've asked that question before, just need to know if Toast Host would be updated, so that way when we're signing up for our speeches, we know if they're going to be on the old or new path.
I don't use Toast
Okay.
Host, so I don't know how to answer that.
I do.
Okay.
Free Toast Host, in terms of the project selections, it's my understanding that they've already loaded it. I actually have that on my to-do list this week, and you can check. But they're down at the bottom, so you have to scroll through all of the current manuals and projects to find the Pathways projects that are down at the bottom. But that I have it on good authority that they have been added. Now, so your speakers can still sign up for the projects that they're going to do. There is a little hitch in the get along for Free Toast Host users though. If you are using the basic contact email out of Free Toast Host for your club record at World Headquarters, you need to make a decision. The easiest solution is to take that contact email and configure it so that it goes to the president, the vice president of education, and the secretary. They may not be the person that normally handles your incoming contact inquiries, but it's easier for one of those people than to route it to the person that will. And the reason for this is because the way that Pathways will contact the base managers is through whatever email address is with your club record at World Headquarters. So for Free Toast Toast users, the easiest way, rather than going through setting up other email addresses and stuff, is just to change that configuration until we come up with a permanent solution for it. Okay?
So if we're currently using the manuals right now, how long do I have to finish those before I would have to switch to Basecamp?
So the current program, which you're used to today, will continue through 2020, sometime in 2020.
So current members don't have to switch to the new thing?
No, so if you're working on a specific goal right now, like I'm 10 speeches and a few other things away from a DTM, so I'm going to finish my DTMs, because whatever status or level you have today of CCCL, those will remain. And when you work through Pathways, then you'll start earning the Pathways levels. So you're not going to lose what you've earned today, but if you're close to completing a goal or a level, I encourage everybody to continue on that and get that done, but you can work both programs at the same time.
Okay, the second part of that. So I'm the VP of membership, and so I have a new person coming in this week. Do I have to start them on Pathways, or do I have to wait till like December date?
For new members, once Pathways is rolled out to the district, they will only have Pathways as an option.
Okay, and we'll get that date later on?
Yep.
Exact date? Okay.
Yep. As soon as we know for sure what the date is, we'll let you know.
I just want to clarify that. If they have already joined the club, they're on the existing program. They will fall into the same offer that's going to all other existing members, is that they'll have the option, once Pathway deploys, then if they want to activate Pathways as well.
Okay.
I'm still encouraging new members in my clubs to complete their Confident Communicator on the current program. Those are fundamental skills to successful speaking. They lose nothing by completing that. And then they don't have to feel pressure to get on Pathways right away.
Yeah, Elizabeth?
That answered the second part of my question, because I was just wondering if we should go ahead and complete it even if we're not close,
Yeah.
you know, to completing the Confident Communicator, but should we complete that or move on to the Pathways? But the second one, just curiosity for the feedback, because I know for the speeches that I've given, it helped me to read what my peers felt that I could improve on. So today, you know, we have a piece of paper, and after the speech, everybody jots down a little 1-2 about how they thought we did, what we can improve on. So with the new version, since it is like an online basis, will they have to like go back later on and enter it in, or will it be still the same?
I don't like to step on Jeff's toes, but it doesn't have to change. That's a club decision. If you still want to have the paper forms for everybody else to fill out, you can continue using them. Some clubs print their project evaluations and give them to everybody. They'll just print those out of Pathways then and distribute them at the club meeting.
And then how does that information, they can just load it back in?
It'll go through the member. The member would log back into Basecamp, and we think that there'll be an ability to either upload the form or fax it in somehow. We haven't seen the exact detail on how you upload it, but we do know that each member will be responsible then for uploading as many of the evaluations as they want to upload.
All the good ones.
There is a storage limit that you have, every member will have in their Basecamp program. So I wouldn't advise you to load them all. I would say probably your assigned evaluator would be the one you want to keep.
How would you upload them, through PDF?
That's what we've asked to get the final details on that. We're assuming that it's going to be pick a file like a PDF and upload it. The PDFs are fillable forms. They can be completed on a tablet and emailed back to the member, or they can be completed on paper and then the member would have to convert it to a PDF somehow.
So the evaluator that's giving the credit for the evaluation, because they're the one that's standing up in the room, would they then, in order to get credit, would they have to do it online, or would they have to do it via print?
That's the option. There are options, and so you'll just have to decide what's going to work best for you and your members.
And I had one more quick question as a treasurer. They don't, with our company, I pay all of the bills for the new pass or what have you, so when they're ready, would I be able to, do I have to go to their desk and pay for it, or will I be able to pay for it, much as I do right now for their membership, all online, or if I need to go buy books for them all online?
Really great question.
Good question, I don't know. I know the member, when the
We've
member
raised,
goes in.
we've raised that, it's been raised by multiple ambassador guide combos about corporate sponsorship like that. The base camp is designed to be specific to the member, so that's gonna put a bump in the road right now. The immediate response that I saw was the member would go ahead, pay, and seek reimbursement then from the company. We've already, heard feedback that, no, that's not the way the company wants to work. So, again, it's one of those open ones out there that they need to take back to the table or drawing board and figure out if there's another way to work it. Mhm. But I'll make sure.
I have a question. So I actually have my last speech for my competent communicator at the end of this month. I have set my goal for my ALB. How is Pathways going to determine, once I complete a goal over here, where's the next step through Pathways? Is it like a checkoff list that'll say, okay, now you've now completed this, this is now the way, this is what you now have left to do? How is it gonna convert from the old into the new on which way we're supposed to go?
Because paths are redesigned and they're taking the CC and CL, or the communication and leadership tracks, and merging them into a path. There's no way to take what you have currently and transfer it into Pathways and say, I'm going to start at this level. So everybody in Pathways starts at the beginning of level 1.
Okay.
But whatever level you've completed, that's where you would have as a title with Toastmasters International.
Okay.
Until you start earning stuff within Pathways.
Okay. But as far as, since the old one's going on till 2020, I can still set my goal to do that ALB.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
And your DTM.
And the current program, you'll just continue to work in your manuals. There's nothing for you to load into Basecamp
Okay.
for it. You would just work your manuals, have your VPE sign off, submit the forms online like you do today.
Okay, so then, and then in December, once we can sign up for Pathways, we can actually work both at the same time.
But only the Pathways work is what gets recorded in
Yes,
Basecamp.
yes.
Okay.
And as a DCP goal, we'd have to pick either CC or Path 1, right? Or
Right,
You can't
goal
pick
number
both.
1. You're either gonna do 2 CCs or you're gonna do 4 level 1s.
okay.
Yeah, you just have, that's where we don't like to use the term mix and match, it can be confusing. That's why you pick 6,
Mhm.
okay? You pick 6.
I have a question.
Sure.
I joined not very recently, but like if I want to move from the old schema to the new one, can I do it?
Mhm.
And so I can start from scratch on that way.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
If you wanna stop what you're working on, that's your choice. We're encouraging people who are close to an educational award to go ahead and finish it, because it'll still get recorded on your profile with Girl Headquarters. You won't lose that, per se. But as soon as we deploy, anyone is free to jump over to Pathways and work in parallel or completely dedicated to Pathways. It's up to you.
I have a question for the Bling King over here. I know that for us, we're really big on supporting our members if they're getting more than one educational award to going to the Hall of Fame luncheon to grab their pins. It's a big hump for us. So recently we've had 3 Triple Crowners and we're super proud of that. So moving forward, once Pathways rolls out, will we still in the Hall of Fame luncheon for those who are on the O track be able to get their bling?
When we get the answer to the Bling question, we'll be able to answer that one.
And then when I enroll people in the Toast, I use our company email address. And I'm not really sure what happens after that. I know they get a welcome letter. And I don't know, maybe someone tell me, do they get to enter their own email that they want to use after I send them an original invitation letter? And is there a way for us to check what email we are actually using to make sure we have a valid one out for the invitation?
I can tell you how we work it for my corporation. My corporation insists that we all use our corporate email addresses to make it easier for them to work with world headquarters when they want to poll and see how many people from the corporation are active members. But each profile at world headquarters supports 2 email addresses. So your member can choose to use a secondary address as well. They would just go into their profile and add the secondary address.
So to answer your question, Elizabeth, whatever they put on their initial application when I'm going in to pay is whatever it is. So that's why it's important for them to verify the email address, and that it's going to be an active one that they use. So whatever you all signed up with, from your phone numbers to your addresses to your email addresses, will be what's loaded in when we do their membership application. I don't do their work email.
You don't use work email?
No, if you don't want me to use your work email address, I will not, because a lot of people don't want things sent to their work email address. So whatever's on their application is where it's sent to.
I get some emails to my personal and some to my corporate. I guess it's because I entered 2 emails. when
Part of it, I think, has to do with
But
Toast
yeah.
Host versus.
Yes, yeah.
International.
Yeah.
So whatever's on your
Yeah.
membership
Toast
application.
Toast has all our US Food ones. 'cause I
Exactly.
entered that.
So Toast is whatever's on your membership application, whenever you apply, that will be the one that is in the system, because
For
Toast is not the same as international. So that would be the one that you're getting things from. So when you see newsletters or monthly information from Toastmasters International, that, whatever that goes to is the email address that's associated with it. So you'll see club and international newsletters that go out throughout the month or throughout the year, what have you. And that will tell you where it's going. And it will say from Toastmasters International. It's a little different than Toast Host.
And as a follow-up, so when you were saying a minute ago that we could add a secondary, you were talking about the Toastmasters International website, is that correct?
Actually, and Free Toast Host will support
You
2.
do it in
As
both
well.
places if you want? Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
That's-
I have another question. Let's say I don't know anything about Toastmasters, and I ask you, what did you suggest to me, for me to follow the old program or to follow the new one?
Depends on the day that you join.
But if I could
If you
choose
join
both,
after
for
we, if you join after we deploy, you won't get a choice, you will be on
Mhm.
Pathways. Right now, if you're joining, I still encourage people to join now and complete the Competent Communicator and sign up for Pathways as soon as it's available to them.
Why?
Because the 10 projects, already, we all know the first project, the Icebreaker. It's really just a baseline performance thing, okay? But the other 9 projects are skill-specific, very much like Pathways is gonna be skill-specific. And those skills, after 90 years, have been consistent in the measurement for successful speaking. So those 9 skills are valuable, and you should get direct feedback on all 9 of those skills. Okay, when you get into Pathways, then every level 1 for every path has an icebreaker project, and I don't want you to think, we've already asked this question, got an answer, that the icebreaker is going to be, hi, my name's Trish, I just joined because Susie invited me. That's not what the icebreakers are really going to be anymore. They're all going to be baseline performance speeches again, but they're going to be specific for the skill level or the skill path that you're on. So they may change a little bit from path to path. Whereas the icebreaker right now is the same icebreaker for everybody. It's all, about the communication. But still, the other 9 are where you're really getting direct feedback about critical skills to being a successful speaker. There's no waste in doing that project or that book. There's absolutely none. And most members, when they join, do want to get started on the communication path right away. Leadership takes a little bit longer. The CL takes a little longer to complete. I'm not thinking that members that join during this period will probably do much work, if any, in the Competent Leader book, but I am encouraging them all to complete the Competent Communicator. My personal opinion.
So it's kind of like when you have the advanced manual that gives you the building blocks to get to the advanced part, which is the pathway.
Right.
And I'd recommend that people still sign up for functionary roles just to get used to standing up and talking, even if you don't count it on your CL. I mean, I keep counting it on your CL manual, but but keep signing up for those roles. We need it.
Anytime you do something, you should get something for it, and you should get an evaluation for it. The CL manual can certainly continue to do that until they finish their assessment and find out what path they're going to start.
We've had some great questions. Hopefully we gave you the answers to all of them. I know Trish wrote a few down, but we have 5 minutes left. So help me welcome Trish Blackwelder, our ambassador, up to wrap up the meeting.
Again, I'll apologize. You know how, you're all in a work environment. You know what happens when they won't let you leave the conference call. So I apologize for being a few minutes late. You did get this handout. So let me just reiterate a few things. I need you to flip it over to the 1, 2, 3 side. We've talked about this a little bit already. I know Jeff has certainly covered some of it. I cannot reiterate how important this is. So let me just say this. Do not postpone these 3 steps. You want to go out and log in at Toastmasters International. We find that only the officers are typically the ones that have ever used their profiles at World Headquarters. Now it's critical that every member know how to go out and log in. Check your profile, check your contact information, make sure that your primary email address is the one you want. You can add a secondary email address if you want a secondary one added to your profile, but it is absolutely critical that you get your profile updated and correct. You will receive your notification that your base camp is ready for you to that email address that you have in your profile. So, if you don't get your notice about Pathways, it'll be because you didn't do step number 1, all right? I can't emphasize that one enough. To Jeff's point then, also make sure that you go in and check. As soon as you get the notice that you can go into Basecamp, go get logged in, do your compatibility check to make sure that you're not going to run into any issues. The online environment is super resource rich, so you want to make sure that you can operate all those videos, open all those PDFs, get to all the information that's going to be included in your path for you. And then third is make sure that you take some time and go out and keep up to date on the latest news for Pathways. That URL is a dynamic page. Anytime there's something new, they are updating that page. So don't think that I've read it once, that's all I needed to do. You'll constantly hear things. There's a list to the FAQs. Your bling question is no doubt going to be posted there at some time. You may see it before Jeff or I see it, if you're constantly checking for it. So go read the FAQs. You'll see what everybody's already been asking about it. Any questions that you forget to ask us today that you might think of later, you might find out there. But as Jeff pointed out, I am taking a list of the questions that have come up today, and as the ones that we didn't have clear answers for, and we will continue to notify all of our clubs as we get answers to those questions. We are here for the next 6 months. Do not shy away. Think of the last time that you got introduced into something new. I just got something new from the newspaper I subscribe to, online newspaper. They are giving me a guide and an ambassador to hold me through the first changes. So make sure that you take advantage of our availability. Most times we'll have the answer for you right away, so that means you're going to get it quickly rather than ending up in a queue with World Headquarters. And if we don't have the answer right away, we've got to fast track into it as well so that we can get the answer turned around for you a little quicker. All right? Do you have any last comments or things for us?
How do individual members contact you guys if we have questions?
Excellent question. When we complete this orientation today, Jeff and I have a contact that we send right back out to you. We answer any of the questions that we have immediate answers, or we find them, because sometimes we get back and we find out, oh, there's 4 more answers we didn't have when we left. So we will get an email right back to Stephanie, and Stephanie will be able to distribute our contact information to the entire membership. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. That does it. Madam President, no, who's the presiding officer today? There we go.
I want to apologize big time because I forgot to introduce our timer for today, and she still did Good job. That's correct. Thank you, Marilyn. And I'm calling you back for the report of the time. Is that correct?
If you all want to hear
Yeah,
your time.
sure.
Okay.
So do I come up?
You can stay there.
Well, this was very interesting for the first time. Jeff, you did very well in the introduction. You only took 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And then for the guide presentation was 27 minutes. And the closing is the one that, because with the Q&A and everything, went to 17 minutes and 46 seconds. And the introduction by Trish was only 4 minutes and 11 seconds. So it was pretty good on time. So thank you. I'll pass the time to Luis.
Thank you. Sorry about that. And I'm gonna pass it over to our president to give us our closing remarks.
All righty, thank you. I want to thank both Jeff and Trish for joining us today and presenting this path to us, this pathway to us. So I know a lot of us were a little reluctant, maybe a little hesitant to hear some of the information, not knowing what we were going to hear. So I know that I am excited to start rolling with this new path, and I hope everybody else is getting a little excited too. And I know some of the newer members, it's new, all of this is new for you. You probably haven't even done much in the manuals you just received. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and just take it all in stride. We're all here to help each other, and we'll get through it. We'll get there together. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we did record the entire meeting, so we will have it posted out on our YouTube site, so you can go back and check on it later, and for those that missed it today. So thank you, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn my meeting. Yes, you may.
Interrupt. I want to congratulate Angel for receiving her DTM this weekend.
Distinguished Toastmasters, the highest award, education award that you can get when you're a Toastmaster. So if you want to come by, it's an awesome medallion. I have it there with my plaque and the medallion, and you also get a pin. So it was an amazing experience.
Look at it. Is this something that's still going to be recognized under Pathways?
Yes.
Awesome.
Pathways will have a Pathways version of the Distinguished Toastmaster, as you mentioned. It is the highest honor that anyone can receive in the organization as an individual member. So they are not going to eliminate the DTM. They already have plans for it. The requirements for the new DTM are already posted in the FAQs. So they are out there for you if you want to take a look.
Awesome, and congratulations again.
Yes.
It's been a year-long celebration, I feel like.
Yeah.
You worked hard for it, so you deserve it.
6:30. So yeah. If you guys think you can't, you can. It's an amazing experience. I cried, like trying not to go around. Heather stopped me, and I almost got uglified, and then I had to make it to the end of the line, and I tried not to get ugly, but then I had Tammy come around, and I really did get ugly, and so I was sitting there, and a lot of pictures like. So it's an amazing experience. It's something that Sean and I saw a long time ago, and we saw it in 2015 when the international president came, and we knew that that was going to be our goal one day, and we worked very hard to get in it. And with the support of all of you, both past, present, and former Toastmasters, current Toastmasters, all the Zuni division people, Toastmasters in general, I've had a great support system, so I definitely say get out of your club comfort zone and take that step, and you'll see that amazing things happen. So just keep that in mind. Right?
All right. All right. I'm glad they burned.